Hi, my name is Dede Willis, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Boulder Diagnostics. I'm also a founder. We're a small biotech company located here in Boulder, Colorado. And Alexia has asked me to talk to you today a little bit about my career and the path I've had. I studied chemical engineering when I was in school, mostly because my father was a chemical engineer and he told me it was a great thing to be. I always knew that I wanted to manage a business. The type of business changed as I grew up, but pretty much remained consistent that I did want to manage things, run a business or own a business. And my father told me if I studied chemical engineering, not only could I work in the business side of things, but I could also work on the technical side of things, and it would make me a much better manager. So I trusted him, enrolled in school, and got to college. In my first year, I realized I actually have no idea what a chemical engineer does. So at the suggestion of an upperclassman, I applied for a co-op position, which co-oping is sort of like doing internships. They actually are internships, which you alternate with classwork. So I would do a semester at school, a semester at work. And it ended up taking me 5 years to graduate, but when I did graduate, I had 18 months of work experience, which was invaluable to me. I learned that my father was right. I worked in manufacturing, research and development, marketing, sales, all across the board, and I learned that chemical engineering was in fact a good career choice for me. And I also graduated with 18 months of experience, which really gave me an advantage over many of my college peers. Alexia asked me if I've ever had any female mentors in my career, and unfortunately I haven't. I think it's a combination of the industries in which I've worked as well as my age. I did have, though, the first 15 years of my career I worked for what was at the time the world's largest chemical and pharmaceutical company, and I had amazing mentors there. I was very lucky because even though we were very large, I always worked in startups. So it was a very entrepreneurial feel, and I was given a lot more responsibility than I would have been given in a normal group. But I never had in 15 years, I never had a single female peer or boss or even a manager in the groups in which I worked. But I did have some great mentors, one of whom suggested I needed to get an MBA, which I thought was a little bit odd because he was really teaching me business in the position I had, working in sales and marketing for a startup. But he said, it's not so much for what you're going to learn, but it's to open doors for you and to prevent other doors from closing on you because of my gender. So I got the MBA and immediately had the opportunity to move to Germany to work, which was by far the most fulfilling and rewarding experience I've had, both personally and professionally, to live abroad, to learn another culture, and you also learn more about America, really, when you live abroad. And probably, though, the best, I would say, mentoring and career advice I've gotten is from my mother, who actually never worked outside of the home. She was a stay-at-home mom. We had a very traditional family. But she really gave me advice from a very young age that really prepared me for working. The first piece of advice was when I was 2 or 3, and she told me that I shouldn't be shy. I evidently was shy at the time. Nobody believes it now. But she said she was painfully shy as a child and she missed out on a lot of life. And she didn't want me to grow up that way. The next piece of advice she gave me was when I started school. She told me I needed to be independent, which sounds really strange for a little 5-year-old starting kindergarten. But what she meant was that if there wasn't somebody there to help me, I needed to know that I could help myself and to have confidence, which it really did. And I think that really helps you to know that, yes, you need help from a lot of other people, but in those times when you're all alone, you can do it yourself. And then the last piece of advice that I try to pass on to everyone is also one that I found strange. At the time, I was probably 4th grade, couldn't get something right that I was working on. I was really frustrated. And she finally looked at me and said, Dede, being a perfectionist is not a good thing. And I was just shocked. I thought, what do you mean? I thought I was supposed to make straight A's, be the perfect child, do everything right. And she said, nobody can be perfect at everything. And if you try and want to do everything perfectly, then you're going to focus on what you don't do perfectly rather than seeing what you do well, and really learning from your mistakes. So that's one of the things that I've learned, especially in work, is that you actually learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes. If I try something and do it right the first time, I might know what I think made me do it right, but that probably isn't the complete answer. Whereas if I do something and it doesn't work and I go back and try to learn why it didn't work and do it right, then I actually learn a lot. So that's one thing that I really think taught me well and has served me well, is to know that it's okay to make mistakes, but to always to try and learn from them. So thanks for listening.